It's your boy Luke here for our prize picks content for this week's Farmers Insurance Open. This will be the first episode of our prize picks golf stuff here on my channel. If you guys have seen some of my NBA content over on Gundacker's channel, you know that prize picks is becoming a massive industry. Lots of people flooding that type of market. It is the prop market version of DFS. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar, but I'll give you the quick 20-second rundown. You essentially can pick props from a variety of sports on there. You pick the over-under like you would any other prop, and you parlay them together with 2, 3, 4, even 5 other picks to go and create an entire card. The payouts will vary from the size of your card, also with some of the options they have on there. Sometimes you can get one wrong, still get some of your money back. And of course, you can double down, put all of your chips in the middle, go for the 4-on-4 parlay type of hit, which is really where I try to live. I like the high upside tickets over there, particularly because some of the lines are really soft. You'll see some of them out there before some of the line movements that you can take advantage of. There'll be injury news for sports like NBA that you can leverage. But for golf, just because it's such a small market over there on Prize Picks, they haven't really had quite as many users flooding that market. There are some really nice lines. So here in the video, we're going to cover my top 4 for the Wednesday slate and how I'm going to be constructing them into my cards for tomorrow. All right, on the screen, we have the market up for today, or I should say for tomorrow's round. This is going to be for one round of props. So first off, we're going to start with Jordan Spieth's birdie or better prop. I have the over on 4 birdies or better. Jordan Spieth, one of the more aggressive players on tour. He's also playing the North Course at Torrey Pines, which is much easier than the South Course, which he'll get for the next 3 days. You're dealing with a much shorter track, closer to 7,300 yards rather than 7,800 yards. If there's any part of the Torrey Pines setup that Jordan Spieth should be able to take advantage of, it's this short North Course. He's got the around the green game to take this place apart. He's one of the more prolific birdie makers on the PGA Tour to begin with, so not a surprise at all to see me here on the over. Obviously, if you take a look at some of his birdie or better numbers in 2021, he ranked top 15 on the PGA Tour. The issue with Jordan Spieth is typically the bogeys, because he's so aggressive, willing to take risks that a lot of other players won't. He'll mix in his fair share of bogeys. So that's why I'm targeting this birdie or better prop. It doesn't matter how many bogeys he makes. If he goes out there, he's aggressive. He does his typical thing with the putter. I see him getting to at least 4 birdies pretty much no matter what. I have him projected for 4.8 right now with clear upside to hit the over, and it makes it a much expected value prop. Next up, we have Sam Burns at 12.5 greens in regulation. I'm going to be taking the over on that. So let's go ahead and hop over to that tab there. He's also going to be playing the North Course, which not only is shorter, only 7,300 yards compared to the 7,800 yards of the South Course, it also features greens that are 1,300 square foot on average bigger than the South Course. What that means is that greens in regulation are going to be easy to come by at this venue. Not only are you going to be dealing with rollout if you're hitting out of the rough, the fairways at the North Course also relatively small like the South Course. You're also dealing with a shorter distance, right? You're going to be hitting mid-irons or wedges out of the rough rather than some of these long irons that are much easier to hold these greens. So even though it is an aggressive number, 12.5 greens in regulation is a whole lot. He's one of the best approach players in the world. He's at the recommended course and coming in with solid form. So I like the over there. I have him projected right now for 13.7 greens in regulation. So well above that number there. There's a little bit more room than what we even have with the Jordan Spieth, which also makes it one of my favorite plays on the slate. Next up, we have Billy Horschel under 12 greens in regulation. So he'll also be on the North Course. The issue is he's nowhere near the ball striker of a Sam Burns. So the fact that he's only half a green in regulation less than Sam Burns, just a little bit disrespectful to Burns, in my opinion. Horschel, by all means, right, he's a top 50 player in the world, but if there's any part of his game that can get shaky at times, it has been the approach play. And we take a look at his iron play over the last 24 measured rounds, he's losing. That is not the recipe for going out there and hitting a ton of greens in regulation. The only thing he really has going for him is that he's at the North Course. He is dealing with the course with the larger set of greens, but unfortunately for Billy Horschel, he doesn't get nearly the same advantage off the tee with his distance as somebody like a Sam Burns does. There's a 15 to 20 yard differential between those two players, so rather than having wedges, he's at the very most going to have something like a mid-iron, more than likely long irons into these greens, which is why I'm taking the under on his prop. And now finally, our last prop is going to be the under on Xander Schauffele's fairways hit. He is playing the easier of the 2 golf courses, but don't let that fool you. the fairways at the North Course are harder to hit than at the South Course. A lot of that just comes down to the width of them. They are the narrowest fairways in all of the PGA Tour. So even though we are at a shorter setup, players will be laying back quite a bit. It's hard to hit a ton of fairways there. In fact, players hit right around 48 to 55% of fairways depending on the year. And if we extrapolate that over, let's say, the 14 holes where they're going to have fairways this week, again, there's 4 par 3s in play. That's hardly on the under, right? That's closer to 7.9 fairways hit, which gives us a little bit of breathing room there with the fairways hit as well, regardless of player. The kicker here is that Xander Schauffele has been spraying it of late. He's losing off of the tee despite being a top 20 player in the world in terms of driving distance, which shows you just how inaccurate he has been. In fact, his driving average, even at some of the biggest fairways in the world, has hardly been over 50%. So I don't expect him to be getting in the short grass all that often, which is also why I'm fading him for DFS purposes. But over here on the prop market, also makes it a relatively strong pay for the under. Now for how we're going to construct our cards. Because we have 4 props here, these are the ones that I feel the most conviction behind, the ones that I have the most confidence in as well. I'm going to be trying to take 3 of them, just running 3-leg parlays here, there, and there. So I'll be taking one of them out there, just running the over power play over here. Of course, you get 5x value for a power play. So I'm going to have 4 different cards, right? There's going to be one where I subtract 1, have the other 3, vice versa the whole way through. So I'm looking at having 4 cards for tomorrow. As long as 3 out of our 4 props hit, should be a relatively nice day. If all 4 hit, we are going to be banking big time. So that's the strategy that we have there. Again, I do expect all of these to hit. They're also relatively safe lines. And because we're dealing with the PGA market, a little bit softer than some of the more competitive markets like NBA. They're pretty sharp with some of their projections over there. There are definitely still a lot of edges to be had. But over here on the PGA market, almost every other prop seems to have a little bit of juice to it. So definitely like targeting this market. You can also try and mix in a few other NBA props that you like as well. That's the beauty of Prize Picks. You don't have to stick to one sport. You don't even have to stick to 2 sports. You can mix in one thing from 4 or 5 different sports, which really adds a lot of value as well. That's all I've got for this Prize Picks preview. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments who your favorite prop for tomorrow is. Obviously, you guys saw my top 4 right there. Maybe it's one of the ones that I'm already targeting, or one completely off my board. Either way, would love to hear from you guys down in the comments. I appreciate you guys stopping by, enjoying the content. I know most of my content here is for DraftKings, course breakdowns, that kind of stuff for golf, but looking to mix in a little bit more FanDuel, of course, Prize Picks content coming into the future, just to make sure that I'm hitting all the bases. I know there's people out there that are playing all of these sites, and I want to make sure that I'm giving content for everyone, not just the stuff that I'm playing myself. I'm playing Prize Picks myself. FanDuel isn't necessarily my thing, but I know a lot of you out there, that's your main site. So we'll be trying to touch on that a little bit more. Again, I appreciate you guys. If you're looking for our DraftKings DFS live stream, make sure to stop on by at 7 p.m. tonight. That's in less than an hour and a half from now, probably less than an hour after this video drops. So if you need to watch on a replay, make sure to stop on by as well. We'll be covering the weather, the player poll, ownership, any live questions that you guys have. Just essentially getting you guys ready for lock tomorrow. You can ask Prize Picks questions there as well. If you have any FanDuel questions, more than willing to cover those too. So until then, good luck, guys. Good luck with all of your props for this weekend as well. And let's get this cash.